Can we start? A warm good evening to one and all. Can we start with a silent prayer, please? Thank you. To deliver the welcome address, I invite Mr. Bibhu Punaran, MD, Medivision Diagnosis, Vice President of Kerala Management Association and Program Committee Chair. Mr. Bibhu.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Members of KMA, President Nirmala Lilly, it is my great pleasure to welcome all of you to this meeting today, especially Mr. Bharat Panchal, who is an authority on the subject that is given to him. And we welcome you, sir, to this evening.
Thank you, sir.
I would also like to express our gratitude and welcome to Mr. A. Balakrishnan, Senior Vice President, KMA. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
And our Secretary, Mr. Algiers Khalid, for being with us today evening. More than that, I would also like to welcome all our past presidents of KMA, the management committee members, all our members of KMA, the secretariat members, and all the invited guests who are just joining us for this evening's meeting, which is a subject that is very, very relevant to us in today's times. And we are lucky to have got Mr. Bharat Panchal to speak to us on this. And we welcome you once again, sir, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you. It's over to the President for further remarks.
Thank you, Bipul. Chief guest of the day, Mr. Bharat Panchal, Executive Committee members, Managing Committee members, past presidents, members of KMA, invited guests, students, warm good evening. The theme of KMA is Spearheading Management Movement. Seminars, trainings, workshops, lecture meetings, panel discussions are some of the activities of KMA. Evening lectures are one of the most awaited programs where members look forward for the speaker and the topic week after week. This time, we named our evening lecture as LeaderInsight. It is the insight, expertise, wisdom, and experience of the leaders who address us. Hence, we are calling it LeaderInsight. Actually, today is the inauguration of our LeaderInsight session, Series 2. We are indeed privileged to have Mr. Bharat Panchal to speak to us. Mr. Bharat is the risky monk, mastermind architect of digital risk management and cyber security for India's payment ecosystem, globally recognized thought leader, speaker, and author. The world needs leaders with the right perspective and purpose, and he is absolutely among one of them. Steps and the global case studies in India can undertake to move towards a cashless society. Increased penetration of internet and banking system. Approximately 45% to 50% of the Indian population still does not have internet access, and approximately 20% of the population does not have access to a bank account. There is a lot of ground to be covered for India to become completely cashless society. Organizations in India lost about 2 million per breach on an average in 2020. Hence, in order to truly go cashless, a strong data security infrastructure is the key enabler and should encompass all the internet, mobile, and e-payment technologies. To speak about the topic, India's road to become a cashless economy, we are honored to have an eminent and sought-after speaker, Mr. Bharat Panchal. To introduce the speaker and to handle Q&A, I invite our Senior Vice President and Executive Director of Geojit Financial Services Limited, Mr. A. Balakrishnan. Mr. Balakrishnan, over to you.
President of KMA, Chief Guest of the Day, Mr. Bharat Panchal, Program Committee Chair, Mr. Bibu Punaran, respected members of KMA, Management Committee members, students, good evening all. Today's session has contemporary relevance. See, I am sure that a couple of days back, most of the financial dailies reported that by 2026, $10 trillion would be the digital transaction of India. That means already India is #1 in the world in terms of handling digital payments in number of transactions. So last 3 years, there is a 9x growth, 9 times growth. When 2018-19, 3 trillion transactions, and now it has become almost 9 times of that. The UPI reported 4.56 billion transactions. That means it is a subset of this. NBCI, after the formation of NBCI and UPI framework, India has witnessed tremendous growth in the digital transaction segment. So today we are introducing Mr. Bharat Panchal, who is one of the architects of the data and the security systems of NBCI. And probably all the names which we are now familiar, that is FASTag, UPI, or the IMBS, all such frameworks are going through, designed by a team in which Bharat Panchal was there. He has a wonderful experience. He started as a banker and famous bankers like Citibank, Kotak Bank, etc., and telecom like Tata Tele and also Reliance. So the UPI is basically telecom plus banking. So he fortunately got both the experience before joining in NBCI. So with a wonderful experience, he created a wonderful framework for our country. He is also recognized in multiple forms. One of the major recognition was the award. He got a wonderful award on Best CRO, Chief Risk Officer, in 2016. And he multiple times he got the recognition as the Security Leader of the Year in 2014, 16, 17 from DSCI. He is a management graduate and then many other industry certification he has. He worked initial 8.5 years in NBCI. At the moment, he is working as Chief Industry Relation and Regulatory Officer of India for Discover Financial Services. And he is also committee member of, especially on data security, cyber security related committee member of RBI, Government of India, IIT, etc. He is also co-author of Data Sovereignty of Supremacy, a wonderful book. Normally, technology-related books will be, the sales in that segment is only related to CISO or something. But this book already crossed 25,000 sales in India. He is also a teacher. He actually taught many of us how the security to be implemented, especially in the payment gateway side. So I sincerely welcome you, sir, to the KMA, and you can take over now. Thank you very much for joining this in this evening.
Thank you very much, sir. Respected President, ma'am, distinguished members of the KMA Association, and all the participants, those who are viewing this live telecast. I'm a little bit disappointed because when I got first call from Balakrishna sir that you had to come to Kochi, and I said, oh, anytime. And on fraction of a second, I said, yes, I'll come, because that's the place where I always love to come. But it's a promise that next session I will have in person if you all invite me. But on that lighter note, but very importantly, the topic what we are going to discuss today, I think there is a balanced approach what India has taken as a country in terms of digital journey of a country. And especially when it comes to banking and cashless, or rather I would say less economy, where India is going to be a superpower in future time. The foundation what we have laid down in couple of years or decades of now, I feel I was fortunate to be part of that, the great journey what we as a citizen of India have seen. And my endeavor would be to take you through with, a couple of initiative and what kind of roadblocks and how we overcome on that also is very, very important as a as a member of or the participant of the whole ecosystem. But I think we are as a country, we are having a great pride about our history and the kind of ancient time, what Vedas, Rigveda, Bhagavad, I mean, what not India was Jagat Guru, right? And that's a pride, what we carry till now. But what I think in last 2 decades, on 21st century, it was said that 21st century is indeed the century of India, where India will lead the world. First 2 decades are literally, the kind of proven test case, proven use case of where India has led us. I mean, I believe that in last 2 decades we have seen a lot of revolution, but the technology revolution, which has laid down this foundation, what we call a digital India. The first, I think, it was mobile revolution, which in 2000 onwards we have seen how it has become really a commodity today, because many of you know that we used to pay 20 rupees, 30 rupees outgoing, and incoming 18 rupees, and that's still a very, very near time story. But in old era, I mean around 70s and 18 or 90s even, it was a long queue, long wait of years and years to have a landline at your home. That was the only so-called digital penetration in your life. Landline. 5 years, 7 years, it was that lot wait period. But look at the era which got changed at the beginning of the 2000 era, where your mobile has become part of your life. The Dhirubhai Ambani, the visionary industrialist, he came out with the slogan that time that, okay, why can't we give a telecommunication at the cost of postcard to every citizen of the country? And I think that was the dream. I mean, that's how those people are really visionary, that they dream big, they implement big, and they make the big impact on our life. And that's where that journey started. Mobile has become, today there was a slogan that time, right? Rather, it was a tagline of Reliance when they launched mobile in 2002, that "Kar lo duniya muthi mein," have the entire world in your hand. And isn't it the reality today? I mean, look at the mobile, what not is thrown out of our life. I mean, everything you go for, bus ticket, airline ticket, railway ticket, your book my show, make my trip, Swiggy, Zomato, you just name it. All your essential of your life, you are connecting with a mobile. Come to the banking, UPI is a different case altogether. But apart from that, every bank has their own mobile application. They have their own, the interfaces. lot of other thing which is there in mobile, which is really a true story of mobile evolution, I would say, because that is laid down a kind of foundation of the another revolution which I'm going to talk now. So when it comes to data, I mean, data was again a very costly. India is again a fortunate that we have the lowest tariff on telecommunication. Now comes the story of data. The data comes at again, when it started way back in 2010 or 11, was very costly comparative to other developed country or developing country. But today, India is but the data is a commodity. You just use GB of data at no cost. I mean, even less than one paisa or 2 paisa per GB, and that was really created a strong rail of having complete digital movement in our country. So when this kind of revolution happened, naturally, as there is a say that there's a necessity of mother of all innovation, and that's where one thought process where it from mobile to banking came. One of the important point it was that, okay, how can we provide interoperability among the customer of the banking? And somewhere in 2005 and 6, few networks started providing interoperability, where you can go and withdraw money from any other bank's ATM, which is not your bank's ATM. So, but there was a charge, is 30 rupees, 40 rupees, depending upon the uses of time and amount what you withdraw. So that was one revolution, or rather, I would say the beginning of digitization of banking. Those who are banker, they may very well aware and take a pride that those days it was a big advertisement that we are fully computerized branch, we are fully computerized bank. It was a big advertisement on first page of leading newspaper for two things. One is a computerized bank, and second was ISO 9001, which was giving an assurance that, okay, this bank is having good telecommunication as well as the process or system in place. From there, I think the vision document of RBI, which came in 2005, what we thought that the decision maker thought that country deserved to be its own payment infrastructure, which can make ease and convenience of fellow citizen in terms of banking. So the first thing which started way back in 2009 and 10, that there was a company formed under the ambit of RBI and IBA called National Payment Corporation of India, NPCI, which is the umbrella, which is an umbrella entity for any banking transaction what we are doing in terms of retail payment transactions. That's the company which is taking care of all these things. So first thing what this company did, that how we can bring all ATMs across across the country under single network. Of course, it was kind of a mammoth task, and when we compare India in terms of any number you take, right, today, when we compare, we go and talk in any other international forum, if we have 40,000, we have 10,000, we have 20,000 ATMs. I'm talking about the country like South Africa, 25,000 ATMs. So when we go and talk, okay, look, India, we have only one bank, SBI is having 65,000 ATMs, right? Or this kind of numbers, that gives complete a different volume, mass, and kind of penetration in terms of banking. But not only from banking part, look at the 1.3 Aadhaar card, which is again very, very dynamic and kind of most advanced database anywhere in the world. When it comes to this kind of identity database, we often start comparing with the social security number of USA, but naturally it is nowhere comparable, because what SSN is there, which is year-old technology, not static, whereas Aadhaar is again very, very dynamic and very handful of technology. 1.2 billion mobile handsets, out of which generally we have kind of 60 to 70% now a smartphone, which bring a lot of innovation and kind of penetration of mobile banking using those numbers. So in terms of that, the whole vision of the RBI and the government, that why don't we have something which can bring the telecom, the banking with three fundamental things. One, it must be affordable, it must be convenient, and it must be secure. I mean, these three fundamental things what always remain in our any thought process what we invested those days. So first thing, we brought all ATM together under single umbrella, which is called NFS, National Financial Switch, and that's where those who have paid somewhere 30 rupees or 40 rupees to withdraw money from other banks ATM, this got disappeared. Today you go and I in my own term I say it is a Colgateization. What is Colgateization is that whenever we pull out any toothpaste is generally synonymous with the Colgate, right? Today you just walk in any ATM, irrespective of which bank's ATM it is, you just go and do transaction, and I'm sure you'll get money, provided you have money in your account, right? So that's the ease and convenience. Earlier, what used to happen, you had to all the way go to from your place to the other place, wherever your bank account, you have account in the bank, and wherever their ATM, you have to go all the way there. Now everything is disappeared. You look at the ATM, you walk in, and you get money. That was the beginning of that. But when slowly, gradually, the whole journey started, then we as a country, we deserve to have India's own identity in terms of the card network, because the plastic card is again one of the key ingredients of the whole banking system worldwide. And of course, there are leaders like Visa, Master, Discover, and American Express and worldwide. But two things were very important there in our mind, that we will make it's India's identity. The second, it will be purely homegrown, make in India product. While I'm talking way back in 2011. So any product what you see, and let me name the product, like be it ATM, be it RuPay card, be it IMPS, be it AEPS, other enabled payment system, be it FASTag, and the best in the class UPI, Unified Payment Interface. There is everything built in-house. There is everything tested in-house. There is no foreign collaboration, no technology brought in from anywhere else, and implemented here in India. So when we implemented that, I mean NFS, ATM, then we moved to RuPay card, and thankfully, when RuPay card was launched, and soon after the PMJDY, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, which was again very ambitious project launched by the NDA government soon after Mr. Modi became a prime minister first regime to May 2014. So that has brought around 230 to 240 million people all of a sudden in the banking system, right? And those people were not had any experience of banking, and making their transaction secure was the most critical task for us. And thankfully, we could provide the infrastructure, know-how, and kind of customer education also, minimal customer education also, that how can they make the transaction secure. But when it comes to the next level of technology, because the ATM is conventional, the card is conventional, but how we can take leapfrog in terms of kind of banking what people are doing. Because one important thing what we found, that India is a country, I mean, you can't gauge with a single stick with everybody, right? When it comes to Kerala, the behavior of people doing banking is different, absolutely opposite to what is people are doing in Punjab. Or the urban people are doing something which the rural part doesn't understand. How you can bring the India together in single pot? And that is where we thought, okay, how can we make the mobile as a rail to the kind of banking system? And that's where IMPS born. Immediate mobile payment system. You may surprise, and let's feel proud about that. That was the first ever payment system anywhere in the world, which we launched way back in 2011, where you can transact money from one to another account, irrespective of which bank, and that will move in fraction of seconds. nowhere so-called developed countries and so-called advanced superior countries in terms of technology, they were nowhere near to that. And India was the first which launched the IMPS. Of course, it has it all. IMPS. It was a very funny story, rather. I would say that when thousand transaction, it's not too far. I'm just talking about just 10 years old story. That after 1,000 transactions, it was a great celebration for us that, okay, we could achieve 1,000 transactions. Today, we are talking about 6 billion transactions of UPI, but the story, the 10 years journey has brought paradigm shift the way people are doing banking. So, when we launched IMPS, of course, one of the key requirement was the smartphone. Smartphone penetration was not there at that point of time. 12, 13, data was costly and little bit cumbersome as well, because we as a banker also doesn't do not remember our account number or IFSC code and this and that. So again, that has lower penetration in terms of customer using a mobile app. But it came out with a different business model where NEFT used to have only certain batches. If you remember that you transfer fund at morning, only fund will go in other account only at evening, because your the batch process will happen only at evening. From one batch it became two batch, but still it was not a real time. So with the help of RBI and the banks, the IMPS was added as one of the channel for net banking. And that's where the IMPS pushed a lot. And I believe that, at one point of time, it was the business model that after NEFT used to close at 7:30, and after that, people want to move transaction move fund from one to another account. Lot many intermediaries and all started a business that, okay, at a premium service, let's say per transaction 20 rupees, and they will help you to transfer your fund from one account to another account. But that was again, I believe, the starting point of stepping stone for larger revolution for us. But I think what was the key thing what we realized that when you go and ask any technology or anywhere in the world what kind of benchmark we want to do, one of the difficulty what we thankfully realized at a very early stage, that there is no benchmarking when it comes to India, because one, the size of country's population, second, the variety of people, variety of banks, and variety of challenges come all across. Absolutely, there is no point to benchmark. And that from there we started thinking completely revolutionary, that okay, let us think for our own, what is suitable for our country, what is suitable for our people. We will dream, we will realize, we will implement. And today we are not following the world, but one day we'll make world to follow us. And I think there's a great conviction when I'm talking that world is following us today, because when it comes to security, of course, I'm a little bit digressing from the main subject, but when it comes to security, which is one of the rather, I would say, most critical risk in today's banking system, right? Because not only banking, rather, in everything, whatever you're doing with the technology, security is the biggest risk. Way back in 2008, when RBI mandated one thing, that every transaction has to be, kind of supported with second factor authentication. One is what you have, which is your username and password, and or your card, with physical card with you. And second would be a PIN when it comes to when you are doing a physical transaction, or OTP, one-time password for any transaction. The world literally laughed at us. The world laughed at and so-called developed country laughed at us that, okay, look, you don't have tele density. You don't have tele density in the part of rural part where people are not literally literate or digitally literate. Second, there is no last mile connectivity, right? How are you going to deliver OTP to those people, those who are in the rural part? And they were not wrong ever. right? Because that time the tele-density was not there. But look at the successful model today. The success of that we started in 2008 until 2002. I can guarantee that you check with any other countries, they're still struggling. I'm talking about, I don't want to name, but many a developed country or leader in the world, they are not having second factor authentication. India is the only country where every transaction, be it card, be it mobile, be it internet, it is authenticated with the second factor of authentication, be it OTP or password. Now, same people are requesting India or people like NPCI and others that how can we join a hand with you to have a know-how how to implement second factor authentication. So that was one of the great lesson for us that okay, this is something we should do it. But when we thought of about my great two product, which I personally believe that is a game changer of a country. The one when I'm sure that almost everybody must remember this statement made by late Prime Minister Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, that when they put 1 rupee and they when it comes to a real beneficiary become 15 paisa, God knows where 85 paisa goes, whereas everybody knew for sure that where it was going. How we can tap that? Because one, see, when you are talking about digital India, my own definition or my personal belief is you have to keep two sections together. The people stay in India are 20%. There are 80% people staying in Bharat. So unless you bring India and Bharat together, that does not give full coverage, because you can't discriminate between the urban and rural part or tribal part and all. You have to give this to everybody. I think that was one of the good thought process, because we realized that Aadhaar has very strong, presence, strong framework around it, and it is designed in a way that interfacing with Aadhaar is very minimal technology required, and you can do good authentication services with the Aadhaar. So with that idea, one idea came that okay, how we can use that for our banking system. And that was the time I remember that when we had meeting with Aadhaar people and all of a sudden we realized that okay, we got something best thing to implement for this country. And DBT, or so-called direct benefit transfer, was born those days with that idea that how can we bring Aadhaar and banking system together, and that too without having so much of friction, so much of interfaces coming from be it banking or technology or customers. Make it just simple. I mean, even in not in bad term, but generally we say it's angutha chap. I mean, the illiterate guy. That's a connotation what people use. But even whether you're literate or illiterate, your thumb is your identity, and we can make use of that as a second factor authentication, and let your Aadhaar connect with your bank account and let transaction happen. We devised that solution. We came out with the micro device also. The overall ecosystem came out with a micro device, so only handheld that person can go put the biometric, give Aadhaar number. And the beauty of all these things is that the technology gone behind this. We ask bank to feed in the Aadhaar number, link your Aadhaar number with bank. Many of you might have done that you link your Aadhaar number with bank number, and with that the complete kind of a table or mapping was done. It was again very big task. Around a billion Aadhaar number with so many accounts. But there's a fantastic mapping done at the back end. So the moment you put Aadhaar number, the system says yes, your Aadhaar is linked with this bank, and the account number is all data is available. Now, when it was launched first time, of course, in somewhere in November 2013, some technical issue happened, and then it was suspended later in February 14. But after Mr. Modi came in government, and this project was reviewed, and someone found that it has a great potential, and we again relaunched DBT somewhere in the end of 2014 or beginning of 15. But the first year benefit only out of one single scheme called LPG subsidy. That was the first, kind of scheme was launched by government. First ever, the LPG subsidy was rolled out through DBT. First year, there was a direct saving in subsidy was 62,000 crore rupees just by cutting the subsidy out of the ghost connection. That was the official statement made in the parliament by the minister, that we have saved around 62,000 crore rupees out of LPG subsidy. We eliminated around more than 2 crores ghost connection, which were taking LPG subsidy illegally or illegitimately. That is a direct benefit real in true sense. I'm talking about 2015. Today, just 2 days before or 3 days before, 2 lakh crore rupees transfer in the bank account of the farmers, or the orphan kids, or even during COVID. I mean, we have seen that how government has supported to farmers and weaker section of the country, and money moved directly into their account. I mean, there was no physical change or handover of money to another person. But the best part of this, that the speed and security, what it is ensured, that is also one of the key things I generally love, because when it comes to technology, of course, technology has its own limitation, but when it comes to combined effort of technology and people, process and technology, that makes things much more smoother, because sending 2 lakh crore rupees or 80,000 crore rupees to fellow Indians in 4 hours, it is just impossible. And that is what exactly happening today. The government, there is called APB, Aadhaar Payment Bill. One account, large account of government account is debited, and a simple one file in NSCH is processed, and money goes seamlessly in everybody's account. And again, that too in the real beneficiary, who is real, a weaker person in the economy, who get money directly in his account. So that is really changed, because when it comes to money from state, the central government to state to district, taluka and village, a lot of channels and people are handing over that money one to another, and of course, that's where the 85 paisa used to go. But thanks to technology and the kind of collective effort of banks, RBI, NPCI, of course, UIDI and government, this is the best example how technology can work for betterment of the society. Nothing to surprise, this is the largest program anywhere in the world, which is distributing subsidy and support coming from the government to the part of country in seamless manner for so many years. So that was, we thought it is good for mass. I mean, again, mass is where 80% of Bharat stays. But how we can again make things much more better in terms of course, the ease and convenience is important, but looking at the rising security issues today, I mean, cyberspace is the most vulnerable, and as many times people have said that next war may not be on the battlefield, but it will be in the cyberspace, and that prediction is quite true, because what is going on right now in Russia and Ukraine, the way fight is going on the ground. The similar fight, or rather intense fight, is going on in the cyberspace. A lot of attacks are happening even in India or many other countries. Cyber attacks are continuous thing which is being used for against the sovereignty of the country. But that is a larger topic. But when it comes to a common man's confidence, common man's kind of trust on banking, when you ask them to do banking through mobile or net banking, they are apparently hesitant, because they're not sure that how secure it is. When it comes to security, I think there's a paramount for anybody, be it a poor man or richest man, because it's a movement of money. That was one thing. The other thing, what we thought, okay, when IMPS was there, it used to be there for net banking, but how we can make it handy for people? And after this discussion, we got some idea that okay, like we are using the email ID like xyz at gmail.com. How that remain unique in the world? I mean, the domain is unique, and the username on that is unique. That does not reveal anything about that person. It can be XYZ, can be anybody, right? Not necessary to be a person who is kind of a legitimate person. He has to forcefully put his name only. It can be XYZ, right? With this analogy and few other combination of the IMPS, that was an answer to security challenges and kind of cumbersome what you user used to feel in IMPS. That came as a part, as a the product called UPI, Unified Payment Interface, where again what is important for us as a country, that there is no legacy. There is no legacy on this kind of thing, and you all will agree with me that in technology, not having legacy is a big blessing, because you are free. You are having so much of flexibility to experiment so many things. You can trial out and what is best suitable that you can obtain as on that day. But when you have a large legacy of, let's say, old age, a mainframe and all, definitely you can't implement the latest technologies. Here, in this case, we had two great support. One, we were not having any legacy. Second, there is no benchmark. When there is no benchmark, you have no pressure to compare yourself with what is existing available. What you are going to make, that is the best in the world, right? And with that kind of confidence, UPI was designed. And when we roll out, of course, a lot of risk were unknown, because one of the important risk is again a financial fraud, because when it comes to anybody's money, how are you going to make sure that the money will remain safe? If it is card, there is a worldwide people are using debit or credit card, and always there are data available that okay, in card this kind of frauds happen and this like that. But in UPI, there is no UPI in the world, absolutely no UPI in the world, and that has really given a lot of flexibility to implement UPI with security as a kind of complete foundation for the whole system. But again, today what we are enjoying today, this thing UPI or whatever the digital banking, I would say that when it used to, especially during pandemic period, while whole part of the society has worked so fabulously, I mean, with medical staff, paramedical staff, government functionaries, the NGOs and all, one section has really worked very well. That is the technology in the banking. Imagine that you are not having UPI, you are not having mobile banking in hand, and you have to buy your daily needs, go and physically buy. I think that was very phenomenal task was performed by all IT people across the banking sector, especially because nowhere, not many places this has been said about them. But when it comes to overall technology part, what again, there are a lot of rooms, and we can further improve. But one more use case came, that how can we digitize the whole toll collection, because that is also one of the big source of income for government, as well as could be a potential revenue leakage as well. Today, the FASTag, again homegrown technology, nowhere benchmark anywhere in the world, that is integrated with the whole journey of digitization. But with the help of GSTN or the improvised infrastructure in terms of telecommunication and banking, so many things are still possible. I mean, I would say that in terms of banking, we got bill payment system automatic. You need not to stand in queue to pay your electricity bill anymore. You can do on fraction of a second by just click on your mobile. But lot to do, and lot of innovation may come. I mean, there could be a much more superior system than UPI or RuPay card or anything else. But one important message I think I want to convey to all the eminent people here, that two part. I think one is the security, where lot to done for imparting customer education, because when it comes to customers education, we are not that serious about that, because it you know we have just brought them in the system that, hey, you come and do banking. I mean, the guy who has never seen in his life the landline of telephone, now we are giving him an iPhone and say, hey, use it. I think we are, we as a society kind of think that we need to really think on those lines. The second comes to data, and this is very pet subject for me, because when it comes to data, India is the richest country in the world in terms of digital footprint. Of course, the population itself is equal to China, or more or less near to China. So we are the mobile penetration, internet penetration, and penetration of technology in our life. Our data is become more valuable than that. And till the time we are not aware about the privacy and how our data is being used, we may not be able to kind of well versed about how to ensure our data is remain private to us. I think these are the two areas which will be a continuous effort for from the management perspective, or technology perspective, or bureaucracy perspective, because security is something cannot be an afterthought, right? Because whenever a product is designed, or something which we start, days are gone that you just put a simple lock at the end of the day. No, you have to think security as part and parcel of the concept itself, then waiting at last stage. Something similar for data, because as we are rich, and in terms of population, we are rich in terms of kind of a digital footprint. We are not at leader in terms of how to use data, because there's a saying in the Gulf that whosoever possesses more camel, he'll be the king of that area. Today, that is changed, that whosoever possesses more data, they will be able to control everything. And that's coming in our life. You might have seen some couple of examples how data is being used. So while when the good thing which country is enjoying in terms of digital platform and digital railroad, what is government and IB and RBI and all have made, there are certain responsibility from citizen side as well, which need to be called up. We need to be identified and tell them very clearly how they should do banking, how they should protect their data. I think that was one of the important point. I thought let me touch upon before I take a break for any question and answer if it is permitted. Thank you very much for patiently listening for me.
Yeah, thank you for your wonderful the narration on the payment AMBS and the payment gateway solutions. Before taking up audience questions, I have a couple of questions to you. One is, while we are talking about the security, one of the Big Four's report saying that there is a dramatic increase in the fraudulent transaction in payment gateway solutions, especially it is across the board, mobile payment, even other payment modes, etc. So what is your comment on that? It is actually on a yearly basis, the increase of the fraud is almost 70% per annum. We cannot stop that, but the increase is dramatic.
So there are 2-3 reasons, sir. And first reason, let me tell you that of course there is an increase in this kind of frauds. The reason why that is, first, the number of transactions or number of volume has increased multifold. Look at UPI was 3 billion a year ago. Now it is 6 billion. I mean, it's a huge change. But that does not suppress the security issue. There are two major reasons. One, India is, of course, upcoming superpower, and therefore the espionage or kind of, the hackers group are always eyeing on this kind of establishment. The report says that the worldwide cyber attack happens. 70% of attack are only on financial institution, and the motive is very, very clear that they want to get financial benefit out of that. So far, India was immune. I would not say immune. The such attack were happening, but not in this scale. Now, slowly, gradually, the attention of those hackers have moved to India. That is one. Second, RBI has made a tougher guideline to reveal that what happened and report to them. Right. So more and more people are coming forward and reporting this kind of attack or whatever frauds happen with them. Third is, I think, in my view, it is not correct to compare that in the rest of the world is far lesser than India. No, I think India is moderately under this kind of attack compared to the rest of the world, especially the developed country. So in my take, yes, there are number of increased cases, would continue to increase. Again, let me tell you very honestly, because when it comes to security, technology has its own weaknesses as well as its own strength. How technology is implemented, how securely it is implemented. These are the two major area. But there is no kind of boilerplated thing that you are secure, and if you put X, Y, Z, nothing is going to happen. No, I think there's a wrong thing. I mean, there is nothing called 100% secure in cyber world. It will continue to happen. Only thing is how fast we can detect, how fast we can respond. That is the key only for any cyber attack.
Okay. One more. A few days back, NPCI CEO mentioned that by 2026, NPCI will be equipped, the UPI framework will be equipped for 1 billion transaction a day. And and also the tier 3 to tier 6 cities will be equipped for transactions. What is your comment on that? Or are we only, this is only urban population is using, how it is getting penetrated to our villages and the small towns?
Sir, I think, when we designed a UPI at that time, of course, 1 million was always a target for us. Only thing which was, not clear that by when we will achieve. If you really ask me that, if it is urban versus rural, no, I disagree on that, because in rural part also, people are using, UPI's QR code or just mobile number, GPay or whatever name they. So I don't see any discrimination of using UPI only in the urban part and not in village part. I don't agree on that part, because there's an equal participation coming from all part of the society. 1 billion a day, I don't see it is impossible task. It is very, very possible, because when 2015-16 we were envisaging, we had this dream. Definitely the system, the infrastructure, the thought process, everything was keeping 1 million in mind. So I don't know why 26 even. It may be in at the speed what we are going. Maybe it may be achieved much before that. There is no way I can say that we may not achieve. Definitely it will be. So you are on mute.
We have few questions. One question is very interesting. Second part I am not asking. There is I think there is a confusion between the digital payment and cryptocurrency. So that is something we'll avoid. But is there any plan in this particular framework to use blockchain?
Blockchain in banking system, sir?
in the payment infrastructure,
Okay. So I think, see, the India stake, I mean, Jam Trinity is something, I wouldn't say the blockchain, but providing some basic structure on that. While look at UPI and all, which is again a centralized platform and connected with multiple stakeholders. So UPI is something near to blockchain. It may not be blockchain, but the ledger, integrity of each transaction with the unique identification. I think UPI is more or less meeting that requirement. However, in terms of speed of real-time settlement, let's say for example today, we have always seen about the customer part. The customer get money instantly, immediately, but that is not the case with the bank. I mean, banks are not having their account debit credit only at the settlement time. Blockchain has definitely a good possible use case where with the real-time transaction, real-time fraud monitoring, and a real-time settlement, all three can happen. That will bring a lot of synergy, lot of speed in overall process. So of course, blockchain has room for that, but I would not say it is only for transaction. Transaction is UPI and the system are well taken care of. Sorry, you are on mute again.
What exactly is digital currency? How does it differ from the currently digitized rupee currency?
Sir, I think, again, when we are world leader in this particular area, I think this question is not fit into India's current situation. What is digital currency? Of course, UPI is any which way there. Is again short of that digital currency where you are doing transaction using only digital banking. Whereas digital currency, in my personal view, that when we have so sophisticated layer of the UPI and other payment infrastructure, where you are getting all ease and convenience and legitimate tracing of each and every transaction, right? What I foresee here that even if we come with a digital currency in India, it will be just a reduction in the printing of currency, not much uses for our country. That's my belief, sir.
Yeah. Another interesting question is there a system that could share knowledge about digitization to every part of our nation? In rural areas, which is the backbone of our nation, contains small-scale traders and traditional business practices who is unaware of this.
Sir, I think that was my second ask at the end of my session, that you are. It's not about the literacy, like with all pride and the respect to the all Keralians. You guys are the 100% literate people, right? If literacy is linked with the safety security measures, then there shouldn't be any fraud happen in Kerala. I mean, isn't it? Here the problem is the digital literacy. The digital literacy is the biggest problem. I mean, people are not given kind of know-how how to use the technology, how to use banking with safety and security. Because when it comes to greed, ignorance, and fear, while you are doing banking, and with greed, ignorance, and fear, you land into trouble, right? So that is one part. But unfortunately, there is no consolidated effort which is going on those lines, where a single storage. I mean, it's a good idea. I think I would. Thanks to Mr. Anantu for asking this question, because that's a really great input which I can really work on those lines. That how can we make that kind of common infrastructure where person can go and get some input about the information about the digital backbone.
So the cashless economy, there are many questions. So one is actually, as I mentioned, the NPCI head himself, he said by 2026, 65% of the cash transaction in our country will move to digital payment system. So that could be the answer for the cashless economy. Everyone is worried about the 2-3 questions are there on security, whether it will impact the transaction, and semi-urban and rural areas deprived of stable net connection, but urban areas are well connected. Then what are the initiatives of state and central government bodies to putting up to make it a cashless economy?
Sir, I can with all huge responsibility, I can say about safety and security, and with the pride as well. That look, India's banking system or payment system is the most sophisticated, most advanced, and the most secure payment system anywhere in the world. I can because I have spent my good amount of years designing or implementing those security measures, and of course when you are at such a serious role, you definitely do a lot of benchmark of what is happening in the world or what are the potential threat and all. So we kept all this in mind while we roll out all production products with the security. Security is always, and security will be always a paramount requirement in the banking sector. All we need is that if we just simply ask people not to indulge into unwanted thing while doing banking transaction. I think that's the only, because see, beyond technology has its own limitation. Beyond certain things, when you are giving your username and password and OTP and everything because someone has said, okay, you are going to get 10,000 rupees in your account of the LIC policy which you took 20 years ago. All of a sudden, somebody is asking you, okay, pay 2,000 rupees in this account for processing fee, and you will get 10,000 rupees. Now, with this kind of greed, people give to in the want of 8,000 rupees, they give lakhs and lakhs rupees. How we can deter those kind of greediness using people's the technology? That is a larger question than the technology.
Okay, we have a very complex question. Can you please explain little bit of the architecture?
Architecture of
UPI IMBS infrastructure.
So, okay, very quickly, it may not be that technical or in layman terms, but
technical will be very complex.
Yeah. So basically, what happened that when it comes to IMPS or any banking transaction, there is a acquiring bank, there is a issuer bank, and in terms of mobile banking or maybe IMPS or UPI, there is a remitter bank and there is a beneficiary bank. So the remitter who originate transaction to debit his account and credit to someone's account. So when it is someone who starts his transaction, that is remitter bank. There is a messaging system called ISO 8583 through which the banking parameters are passed. When it comes to within your bank, with your bank identification number, which is called BIN number, one can identify that this transaction is from one customer to another customer of the same bank, and transaction is completed within that bank itself. But when it is the other bank, India has around 2,500 banks, which large commercial banks, scheduled bank, the urban cooperative bank, community bank, and all this 2,500 plus bank. Now, if transaction goes from one to another bank, all cannot have bilateral network connectivity, because that requires huge infrastructure, and that's where the network like NPCI plays major role, because the moment the bank identifies that this transaction goes out of my bank, they will simply hand over to NPCI, the NFS or IMPS network, and they have a mapping of each bank's number. So the moment they see the initial profile number, then they identify, okay, this transaction is to be handed over to ICICI Bank. That transaction is handed over to ICICI Bank, and with the account number in which the money has to be credited, ICICI Bank has all the information because it is their customer. The deposit money, credit that money, message back to NPCI that account is credited, NPCI pass on message back to the remitter bank that your account is debited and the beneficiary's account is credited. So that is how the banking system works. In that is called three-party model. But UPI is a little bit different. It is four-party, quite complex. So it may not be possible to describe in a minute or so, sir.
We'll have one more question, then we'll wind up from Anandu again. Driving to cashless economy, money lending apps and buy now and pay later cards like business are booming in India. Some illegal money lending apps banned by the government, but still there are a lot of illegal digital loan money lending apps out of there. How can we tackle this? Of course.
Even I'm also very much concerned about this kind of cases, because those are tiny app, very small app. Out of 100 or 1,000 apps, if they're not having any website, hardly few app has their website. Those are legitimately linked with NBFC. Some of them are having barely in 2 digit or so having physical address. Otherwise, they all are in some part of the world existing. While it is App Store of Apple, they have very stricter process to propagate to any application in the place where it can be hosted. But that is not the case with Google Play Store. Anybody can upload this this kind of application. And while we are aware about these two popular App Store and Play Store, Samsung has their store. There are around 200 plus a store where you can host those applications. Now, those kind of application hosted which are beyond your control in a virtual world, you really cannot control on that, right? So that maniac is really a big problem. Of course, people report and those apps are taken down. But again, in this world of cyber, every day 500,000 new virus, Trojan, malware all come every day, and to clean up, the similar effort goes. But this is not even malware. This is a simple app, and that is being used in very close look, where unless person is really kind of harassed or put into trouble, they do not come forward and report this kind of fraud. And unfortunately, the part of the society, those who are using this app are very weaker section, and those who are in bad need of money, they come for 5,000 lending or 6,000 lending, and they get into trouble. So they really don't know, even after they are in trouble, whom to go and tell about this kind of app. That's the problem.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I'm handing over back to Chair for concluding the session. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Balakrishnan, handling Q&A in an impeccable manner. And great to listen to you, sir, Mr. Bharat Panchal. A few things, if I may mention, is benchmarking is not a matter as far as India is concerned. There is no legacy, no benchmark in financial UPI is concerned. Banking is affordable, convenient, and secure. Two concerns we mentioned that we have done a lot, but a lot to be done, imparting customer education, and we are not very serious about it. And then you also mentioned about the privacy on data. Now the world is not following us, but one day the world will follow us. Brilliant session, sir. And we would love to have you in Kochi. Sure, definitely we will be inviting soon, sir. We are looking forward to meeting you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now I request our Honorary Secretary, Mr. Algiers Khalid, founder of Poth International, to propose vote of thanks.
President Nirmala Lilly, our invited speaker of the day, Mr. Bharat Panchal, Chief Industry Relations and Regulatory Officer at Discover Financial Services, Program Committee Chair and Vice President of KMA, Mr. Bibu Punaran, galaxy of past presidents of KMA, Managing Committee and KMA members. Indeed, a great start with an interesting topic and excellent speaker for LeaderInsight series for this year's KMA. Thank you, Mr. Bharat Panchal, for sparing your valuable time to be here today at KMA and for sharing your thoughts on the current topic that every citizen of our country would like to know more about. India's road to becoming a cashless economy. So sir, you beautifully articulated the revolution starting with mobile to data to digital banking, resulting in several innovations in the banking sector, including anyway banking, and sheer scale of numbers that opened up the opportunity for Make in India products like RuPay cards, IMPS, etc. Further, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana helped leapfrog the digital banking sector by making it universal for direct benefit transfer of subsidies using Aadhaar. Great to know from you that it transformed the banking industry and set in motion the road towards a cashless economy with direct to account transfer swiftly, seamlessly, and securely, saving huge amount for the government. It was music to my ears to know that it was in India that IMPS was started for the first time in the world when India launched IMPS to transfer money from one account to another irrespective of the bank anywhere in the country. Sir, I was even more happy and proud to know that now world is following us in this field of digital banking. Great to know that so many more innovations are in the anvil and the best is yet to come in our country with the largest data footprint in the world. Interesting, very interesting indeed and fascinating. I'm sure everyone thoroughly enjoyed the session. Thank you, Mr. Bharat Panchal.
Thank you so much. So very, very kind of you, sir, for very kind words. And really, I believe that we couldn't die for the nation. Let's live for the nation. And that's where we need to take the nation in very beautiful days ahead. Thank you very much.
As President mentioned in our introductory remarks, KMA's LeaderInsight series is a much awaited event where all members get opportunity to listen to leaders in different spheres of life. Today's session is the latest under the able leadership of Program Committee Chair and Vice President of KMA, Mr. Bibu Punuran. Thank you for selecting the topic and also warmly welcoming everyone.
Thank you.
We highly appreciate and are thankful to our own Senior Vice President, Mr. A. Balakrishnan, for identifying and arranging to invite today's speaker. He so nicely introduced the speaker of the day and also set the tone for today's session. ABK also moderated the Q&A so well to engage the speaker and extract even more insight from the leader on today's topic for the benefit of all participants. Thank you, ABK. Thanks to all the past presidents, managing committee, and KMA members for attending today's session. We had really good attendance today throughout the session. I would also like to place on record and thank the KMA Secretary team led by Executive Director Lieutenant Jojo Jacob and his team members Prijit, Sandra, Ajmal, and Renson. Thank you all. Also thanks to our program sponsors Medivision and Verma Homes. They both play very important role in success of all programs of KMA. Before I conclude, I request our Secretariat team member Prijit to please share the specially curated digital version of the memento of the speaker. Sir, this is only online virtual version. The physical version will reach you soon by courier to remember your talk today at KMA and cherish it lifelong.
Thank you so much, sir. That's the real use of technology.
Thank you, one and all, and have a nice evening.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Algis. So next program, kindly mark your calendars on 23rd June, Starter Forum inauguration. With this, I adjourn today's meeting. Let's have interactive session and networking.